this is semi-unscripted because I can't bother to write a script, to be honest, and frankly, speaking from the heart seems to be the only way I can get across my annoyance at IO Interactive. If I get something wrong, there's a very good chance people will correct me in the comments. By all means, if I do get something wrong, please correct me in the comments. I probably will do at some point. I'm not particularly happy with the way IO Interactive have treated Hitman 2. They haven't been hugely bad, but they have been, what's the best way of describing it? Not great, shall we say. The first 6 months, the game was fine. It did decently well. It had a load of content that was free. None of the paid content really came out until, like, May, give or take. First proper piece of content, outside of, like, suits, okay, was the hand-to port sniper challenge, which I actually don't mind. Hand-to port's fantastic. I'm not going to throw shade at the sniper assassin maps, because outside of their really annoying grind, they're not bad. They just suffer the problem of replaying them is a bit of a chore. You could argue the Winter Sports Pack is the first true thing, and that happened in January, because they wanted to give away some stuff during the Snow Festival, and it's fine. I mean, it's nice having a snowball in Mumbai, but it was just side grades at best. A lot of the free stuff started to become just relying on the Legacy Pack content, and while I appreciate that the vast majority of people who have played this game probably haven't played Hitman 2016, or the Game of the Year edition, and fine, I don't mind them releasing stuff like that. If, and this is a very, very big if, they had the foresight to actually change what they were releasing, which they didn't do. The closest we got to them changing anything Legacy related was the Deceivers, the Legacy elusive targets, which was literally the only thing I could exempt, because that's kind of the point of them. They are meant to be elusive, and I still disagree that they should be that, to be honest. That was a nice change of pace, but that's it. All the other elusive targets haven't changed. They locked the anniversary suit from the definitive edition of the game behind their stupid IO Interactive newsletter, which I admit is fairly useful to anyone that isn't me, admittedly in the situation where I do like to keep up to date and I tend to visit the IOI monthly stuff. It's very possible just to create an IOI account and then just unlink it immediately afterwards, and you'll still get the suits after you've confirmed your little account, which is fine. But I really strongly disagree with them just tying these to a mailing list, which is essentially what they're doing. Okay, I'm aware that the news section is optional, and the whole point of it is to give you an incentive to use their newsletter, but that's kind of why I dislike it. This is a running theme, is that they've gated off content that people have been waiting for a long time, and found a very annoying way of players to get it back. The definitive edition suit, in my personal opinion, should have just been part of the Legacy Pack. They weren't part of Hitman 2016 or even part of the Game of the Year edition for no discernible reason other than Hitman 2 was in progress, and it made no sense to release it then. Fine, I understand that. I don't understand why they couldn't have been released at the start of Hitman 2, or maybe a couple of months in, as part of like challenges or whatever, but no. They just locked it behind in a mailing list because player engagement, basically. Moving on, back in August, this is when it started getting really annoying. In August, the amount of Legacy content started to creep up to annoying amounts. So we got 2 Legacy elusive targets, the Chameleon and the Identity Thief. Fine, fair enough. At this point, people were getting really annoyed that Hitman 2 elusive targets weren't being made, or rather they were being held back. Well, I've got no proof of the latter, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were doing. This is where they started to try everybody's patience, and frankly, they kind of ruined what an elusive target is, because you keep spamming legacy elusive targets that veterans have already played and will already be mostly disinterested in, and then not do elusive targets from the game that you're trying to sell to me to keep me invested, then I'm going to be much, much harsher to you. I'm sorry, that's just how it's going to be. And then, in October, way longer than it should have been, 7 or 6 months depending how you want to count it, you finally released the Warlord. It took you, I think, repeats of Paris twice, I believe. Sapienza got repeated twice. Marrakesh got repeated twice at that point. Colorado had already gone, and we're only ever going to get one Colorado elusive target. Sucks to be you if you never got the tactical gear with Hunter Hat. Yeah. You kind of see why I don't like them doing this, can't you? That came out in October, the Warlord. That was the last one that veteran players needed to get all their stuff back. And I get the feeling, okay, that this was done really intentionally to string the veteran players along to keep them playing, let's be perfectly honest. I'm a little bit insulted by that. Pretty patently what they were trying to do. I know people are going to disregard this and say, oh, you're being entitled or whatever. As a veteran player, firstly, and you have the technology to do this, we know you do, okay? You really should have given us our saves back. You just should have, okay? You should have treated the Legacy Pack as a copy of Hitman 2016, essentially. That's what you should have done. But you didn't do that, because that would have been fair. And then we have more and more Legacy content in October, which is where it started to become a problem. The Umar Tenacity and the Eccleston Illumination, which were frankly just awful escalations, which are really annoying in 2016, and they are no less annoying here. And then you started to do Halloween challenge packs, which were missing for no discernible reason. Oh yeah, they lopped off challenge packs in case you didn't know. And then November, their 1 year anniversary of Hitman 2, might I remind you, they started to release more Legacy stuff. In fact, there's more Legacy stuff in the 1 year anniversary of the game than there is actual Hitman 2 content. 9 to 7, if I recall the ratio. Okay, hang on, I'm going to check. November, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 to 6. Okay? Think about that really carefully. 9 to 6. That is an unforgivably bad ratio. I've said this before, and somehow this is a controversial statement, okay? Legacy content is not content to nobody other than people who have never played Hitman 2016 before, okay? And even then, it is not new content. It is old content being reused and recycled to pad out the roadmap. And if you were just releasing these later on with some modifications, which you didn't do, by the way, okay, you never changed any of these, you just kept them the same. In fact, the only other change, okay, was the Master Vampire, where you finally get to unlock the modern sedative syringe, because sedatives are actually now useful in this game, and that's it. I'm not kidding when I say that's the most you changed. To get a bit more positive for once, because I don't do positivity that often, the free stuff that they have given us is, the majority of it is quite good. Just in general, actually. The elusive targets are fine, they're not particularly very interesting, but they are good. Ghost mode is, we'll talk about that in a moment. The challenge packs have been alright until very recently, where I will get to them when I actually finish it. And most of the escalations have been fine. Either they've been unremarkable at best, or they've just been basically contracts which they've made into escalations which add no replayability whatsoever. Aside from, you have to replay it. Sure. Just sure. Another thing that I liked them doing back in October, they gave us the Imperial Classic with gloves, actually one of my favourite suits in the game, and they gave that away permanently. It's not tied to the elusive target system, because they didn't want to make any elusive targets for Mumbai. Okay. I appreciate you doing this permanently. Okay, I really wish you could get those suits permanently. Like, if you did, like, a little tiny Mark II on, like, the suits, with just a small modification to them. I know, it's unreasonable for me to think and ask that, but I'm a little bit sarcastic there. But this is the world we live in. And then we have the Blake's Endeavour challenge pack, which is just fetch quests. Literally fetch quests. 2 of the challenges are fetch quests. One of the challenges is you gunning down 10 guards with an assault rifle while disguised as Blake Nathaniel. Sure, that's Hitman for you. I should probably point out, this is the most anti-Hitman challenge pack I've seen in a while, and what makes it more annoying is that they actually had a challenge, I can't remember the name of it, where they, you had to kill 47 guards, I believe, by dumping them in the ocean, and they removed that challenge because, and I quote, or paraphrasing, that it wasn't a Hitman challenge. It didn't encourage the style of play that Hitman encourages. Why did you release a challenge? That was quite obviously not that. How is killing 10 guards, which you can't do Silent Assassin, by the way, better than 47 guards? The Crowbar challenge, the Great Heist challenge pack, is boring, but it's inoffensive, to be honest. And all the other stuff hasn't released yet, so I can't have any opinion on it at the moment. The Mills Reverie was genuinely the best escalation you have ever made, and to be perfectly honest, significantly better than any of the special assignments that you had the gall to ask for me to pay for. That may sound like a little bit of an insult to the special assignments, and they should be. This should basically be its own location, but it isn't, and I understand why. But I love it. It is just genuinely off-kilter, and it's very, very good to play, just in general. I love it. And then Ghost Mode happened. We haven't had a Ghost Mode update, by the way, since June, I want to say, where they gave us Ghost Mode Santa Fortuna, and that's the most major content drop they've done. They also gave us emotes. That's all they've done with Ghost Mode. It's in perpetual beta, and they haven't been bothered to change it. It's still a little bit unbalanced. It's not hopelessly unbalanced. The only gripe I had was the proximity explosive, which can be used to corner off a lot of entrances and exits on Santa Fortuna, denying your opponent disguises. It denies your opponent a lot of things, and while it's relatively easy to see, it doesn't make it balanced by everyone having it. It makes it unbalanced because it can be used to block off parts of the map, and it kills them, which means that they lose all their items. You kind of see why I don't like it. I got burned by it a few times during Throat 7's Ghost Mode tournament. A few times, yeah. And I went on a little bit of a small rant on it on Twitch, and I disliked it quite heavily. And then we come to the fact that they're re-releasing the Snow Festival and the Holiday Hoarders, which was permanent, by the way, in Hitman 2016, the latter, I mean. The Snow Festival, I don't mind them returning that. It's fine. Okay, it's on the same level as the other special assignments, which is what it is. So I don't mind it existing. At least it's free, which could be said for a lot of things in this game. And then we have Holiday Hoarders, which should have been permanent, but they removed it because, I don't know, because temporary content sells, I guess. Gotta play it before it goes, and there's no guarantee we'll ever bring it back. I don't like that mentality. Please stop using that mentality. If you release a piece of content, okay, barring elusive targets, and even then I'm getting pissed off with them, make it permanent. That's not hard to do, okay? I've made a personal decision. As soon as I reach 500 hours on Hitman 2, which is the exact amount of time that I have it in Hitman 2016, then I will not be playing it. I'm at 443 hours, so I've got about 57 hours to go. I will not be playing it after that, because I personally don't really care for featured contracts, which will be what they're only releasing after January, and the only thing that I'm missing from the elusive target system is explosive pen, and I got to kill Sean Bean one more time, or once more, because I didn't get the elusive target when it came out. Because as much as it sounds like as if I'm bragging here, I don't mean it, okay? Hitman 2 is a stealth game. Stealth games don't tend to sell very well, okay? That's just the nature of them. They only cater to a specific type of audience, and while Hitman 2016 helped the Hitman franchise go quite mainstream, Hitman 2 also helped it go mainstream, which is why there was so much advertising for it, and why Sean Bean was used multiple times to sell this game, okay? That's why the Miami pack has his lovely marketable face in the thumbnail. Of course they were going to reuse it, I'm not stupid, okay? I had the foresight to just buy it at Christmas for £48 instead of the frankly ludicrous £75, which I was not willing to spend, because as much as I love the Hitman franchise, and as much as I like UI Interactive, my loving for the game does not outweigh my consumer savviness of it costs 75 fucking pounds. I am not paying 75 sodding pounds, okay? No game should cost that, especially with the amount of content that you did eventually release, which is another reason why I don't buy season passes or expansion passes, as you love to call them. I'm aware that Warner Brothers was very likely the one pushing the expansion pass, but it was IO Interactive who had the content, or lack thereof, let's be perfectly honest. Sorry for being so negative, but IO Interactive really need to consider that if they do this again for Hitman 3, where they just repeat Hitman 2 stuff in the third game, then I won't be playing it. Because I know that a lot of the stuff that they claim is permanently missable will just return. Like the elusive targets will do, and the bonus episodes that they want to lock behind a temporary exclusive content marker. At least for a whole year. I won't be doing that. Even the gold edition wasn't worth £48, it was worth, I don't know, 40 at best. Okay, the most I would spend on it. If I could choose the price right now, 35 to £40. Okay, I'm aware that sounds like I'm lowballing, but honestly, that's the most I would give it. Sorry, IO Interactive, but you are not in my good books for once. Do not treat this company as if they are special. They are still a company. They are still partnered with Warner Brothers, who are not particularly nice to deal with, and they are still just releasing permanent content, or should be permanent content that is timed exclusively for no reason. They are still as shady as any other company, they just have developers that I actually quite like. Kinda like Hi-Res Studios. They have good developers, fantastic developers, but the higher-ups constantly just ignore the developer side of things, and frankly, it's annoying. Alright, I think that's enough. We'll see you in The Undying, whenever they release that.